What's up everyone, welcome back for another video. Today we just got a couple errands, well not a couple, we just got an errand to run before we do some work on the Beamer, which the work is for the Beamer at the same time. So, wheels are off, front and rear. We got some new tires. Well, what was on the car currently was some all seasons, and we're throwing some summer tires on it. I know it is getting towards the end of the summer, but it doesn't get that cold here, and if it snows or anything, I just drive the truck. I have been daily driving the Beamer, but we have one issue. So the past week, I haven't been daily driving it, so I'll show you the issue. As you see there, we are showing cords on the tires, so no bueno, not safe to drive. So that's one test that's getting completed today, hopefully completed today. I do live in a smaller town, so they might not be able to get to it today, and then I have work tomorrow, which is just gonna be a big clusterfuck, if you will. Well, other thing we're doing today, I don't know if we really have to do it, but I am doing it, is changing the tie rods on the front. So the front of the car wheels are towed out a little bit, and I have noticed, it wasn't an issue until it rained, honestly, but I have noticed coming up my block, there's like little patches like sand or like gravel from like one like rainstorm that like washed out of someone's driveway, and when one tire hits that, the car kind of like jerks to the side. It wasn't a big deal because it's been dry and it's only that one spot, but last week or 2 weeks ago, it started downpouring as I was driving to work, and coupled with the bald tires on the rear, they weren't that bad like a week or two ago, but the neighbor kids wanted me to do a burnout, so obviously I had to do it. It can't be a bad neighbor. So I did that, bald tires, and with the toe out alignment, when it would catch like a patch of extra slippery wetness, the entire car would just go all over the place, and that is not good. So I actually wound up doing like 30-35 miles an hour to work in like a 55-mile-an-hour zone, so I had the hazards over, driving all the way to the right, just slow so I didn't die. So that's where we are today. I tried to adjust the toe, everything's seized up because this car I don't know if it's entire life, but it was a Pacific Northwest car, and obviously they get a lot of rain there. I don't know if the toe out was some sort of drift spec. I did buy this, was the daily driver for a professional drifter. Doesn't matter who. If you want to find out who, just go back to my other videos. I mentioned in one of those other ones. Didn't buy it because of that, bought it because I wanted an E36, and the wife was a big fan of him, and it was an easy sell coming from him. There's that. Let's get these things loaded up. Let's try to get these swapped out. We will be back shortly, probably in a change of clothing to tackle these tie rods, which I don't really want to do. They came yesterday, and I was off of work, and I completely just put it off because I didn't feel like doing it. Now I have work tomorrow, and here we are. I'll be right back. And we're back. Wheels and tires dropped off at the tire shop. They're gonna do it at some point today. It seemed like it was gonna be a little while before I get those back. It was pretty busy when I went in there, plus he already mentioned later in the day. Then I said as long as it's by the end of the day, I don't care. So that's where we're at with that. Since the hard part of getting the car in the air, which isn't a hard part, it's just mentally it's the hard part for me. Car's in the air already. Let's change these damn tie rods. So the ones that are on there are seized, because like I said, it was a Pacific Northwest car, so does get a lot of rain up there, and stuff gets seized, especially if you don't use stuff like anti-seize. And who knows the last time those were changed? Possibly never. This car has over 200,000 miles on it, so who knows? But what we got here, I bought all this off FCP Euro. This 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe comes as a kit, and then this was like a little extra because I saw this online that some people like bent the crap out of these getting these off. So we added those. That's what that is for anyone interested. Obviously not sponsored or anything, just that's where I got it from. They do, from my understanding, have a lifetime warranty, so if you have any issues with that, you can always just send them back and get new ones. I believe you could even do it with oil if you buy oil from them, so probably not a bad idea. Might just start buying everything from them. I mean, it is mostly the OEM stuff, which is mostly the only stuff I need or gonna need for this car, so we'll probably just keep using them. So like I was saying earlier, this car does have a little toe out in the front. Tires did have a little bit of camber wear, but we don't care about that. We care about the toe out, which is affecting the handling in wet conditions and stuff like that. It could have just been how I installed the steering wheel when I swapped it over to the aftermarket one. I do have a video on that one. Go check that one out if you want to see how to swap a steering wheel to a race aftermarket one. The steering wheel is a little off to the side, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the driver's side off, and that's gonna be the one that I'm gonna exactly match with the tie rod length, size-wise. We're gonna match that one exactly the same size. Then the passenger side is the one that we're gonna use for the adjustment to pull that tire in a little bit, so then we have basically a straight track. And we'll go from there. Then we do have some BMW things going on under the car. I feel like you could kind of see it, right? Yes, you can definitely see it. That is some power steering fluid. I do have a little leak in, I don't know if it's the reservoir itself or just one of the lines from the bottom. It almost seems as if you have to take off your whole intake manifold, so that's why it's still leaking, because I don't want to deal with that. So this is your driver's side. Obviously, we are changing the inner and outer just so we can get an adjustment. I did crack this nut loose last week, and I tried to rotate it, and it seized together. Put some heat on it. Well, I did it really on the passenger side. I gave more effort, and then the driver's side didn't move either. So first thing we're gonna do now is crack this guy loose, which happens to be a 16 millimeter. So just a tip with these tie rod ends, really anything that goes through like that that has some sort of bushing / boot or anything like that. It's obviously tie rods have this. I think a few other things, maybe not on this car, but on other cars have it. When you're using an impact, you have to make sure this entire thing doesn't spin. You can basically prematurely wear out your joint by spinning the whole thing. Obviously this one's getting changed with a brand new one, so we don't care. But when we put the new one in, we're obviously gonna care about that, and we're gonna have to pay attention that the entire thing doesn't spin. Usually the top of the stud has like a hex pattern that you could hold it with a wrench. Then you have to tighten it by hand with an open end wrench or a box wrench. Keep that in mind. You don't want to prematurely wear these things out. Now the part with the hammer is necessary. It's not necessary. They do sell tools that go over that and you tighten it down and it actually clamps and then pops that free. They have that for other pieces also on your car, just to get that kind of tapered fit to pop loose. You can use a hammer, but you have to be careful that you don't completely destroy the end of your threads or tie rods. If you look close at it, it didn't really mushroom out, but you do run the risk of doing that with other styles, or depending how stuck that is. Other way to also do it, if you see here, it's tapered, so that kind of, the tighter you tighten it in there, the tighter it pulls and holds in. They do have other styles of the top where if you mushroom it out, you can't get the nut back on. So keep that in mind. Other ways to do it is also just smacking this with the hammer a few times. Kind of helps loosen it up. You could hit that, then hit the stud. Or if you want to do it, I guess the right way, you get one of those popper things. I'll link it down below. So while you're in there taking the inner side off, better off just slice your boot just so you can slide it out of the way and actually get to the inner part. This is the piece that we bought new ones of that we didn't actually have to buy new ones of apparently, because this one came off no problem, but not a big deal. These new inner and outers from Lemforder, however you say that one, they are a little different than what I'm assuming are OEM. If I'm just assuming these are OEM, these might be the same for all I know. Just the outer is a little bit different. So this is kind of what I was saying. So the end of this one does have a little Allen key hole there for a 5 millimeter that fits on there. And then this nut is a 17 and that was a 16. So just a couple differences. It looks as if this little bushing thing is the same as down there. Ends are pretty similar. This section is slightly different. If you see the little adjustment point over here is a little further back than it is over here. Basically the same thing, slight differences, no big deal. The wrench to get the inner off, I have no idea what size that is. I don't have a wrench big enough. Could probably throw a couple sockets on the end to give you the size, but I just grabbed it with a pair of vice grip because it was the old one coming off and I don't care about reusing it. Putting it back on, I'll be a little bit more careful. I'll try to find something better to put it back on with. But let me try to adjust these sizes the same. They are pretty similar. I don't know if I should try to make like a little bit of a jig just to get this the same size. I might do that. Hold on. So it came from the factory pretty close to what the one that came off the car was. So I did my best to measure from the center of there to the end of that, so it was 15.5. This one I got that set up as 15.5 exactly. Obviously, if this is just pointing a little bit one way or the other, it's going to be slightly off. Your best bet would be to just get a piece of wood, drill a hole in it, so then you can just put this in there, then measure exactly to the end of there. Being a little lazy and I don't really feel like doing that, but there's a little trick to get a little bit better measurement to get it pretty close to where it was on the car. There are ways of once you get the car on the ground, you could kind of put a string down the side of the car and take measurements off that. You could get alignment plates and do it in your house, or you could just bring it for an alignment. Either way, up to you. So tie rod inner, this is a 32 millimeter, so if you have an open end wrench for that, good for you. I don't, so I'm gonna have to figure something out to get that tight. The only specialty tool you're gonna need is this right here, which will be for these clamps to clamp your boot back on. So there'll be links for this stuff down below. If you need this stuff, click those links down below. Helps me out a little bit, helps you guys out, and get stuff done. Just getting that snug for now. Also, by the way, favorite freaking pliers ever. Now we're gonna get the boot on here. Oh yeah, first, let me show you this. This is the one that came off the car. Pretty sloppy. This one takes pretty good deal of effort to get that to move. That's what's gonna happen when you get new stuff. Now these clips, same for your CV boots. Just has this little latch there. You put it on, get it as tight as you can. Then you take this at the top there and you just clamp it shut. So don't forget your ring like I did. That goes on. There's a little notch right there that fits onto the steering rack in the one spot. Then we put this on. Don't forget to fold that little ring down on one of the flat spots, so that'll work as kind of like a lockout so that can't rotate. Now I'm actually gonna turn the steering rack back in a little bit just to get this close to here so I don't have to stretch it out and get annoyed to try to get this last ring on. Don't be like me using a combination of random wrenches just to get the inner tie rods on. Get the correct tool. Like I said, it's 32 millimeter. If you don't want to do that, grab yourself a set of these Knipex. They come in very handy. I use them all the time. So like I was saying before, this is where you don't want to spin this thing because you'll prematurely wear it out. So I'm gonna start it off with this, and I'm gonna keep an eye on this. If this starts spinning, then we're obviously gonna stop and use a combination of wrenches and do it by hand. But 17 millimeter, put this back in. Sometimes if you give it a hit underneath the tapers, the little tapered piece kind of seats a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't, so. You did it once, now you can do it a second time. Just repeat all the same steps on the other side. If you just need to replace your stuff because stuff is worn out, go off the exact same measurements. You'll be pretty close. You kind of don't need an alignment, but you should get an alignment after you're doing this stuff. But if someone like me, a little too much toed out, we're gonna get close, then we're gonna drop it on the floor and try to pull the wheels in. We might just do it by eye, to be honest with you, instead of just going to get an alignment. But we'll be right back when the other one's installed. Probably no wheels and tires just yet, so figure something out. Both tie rods are done. Awesome, not a hard job at all. If you look under, just swept this up. That's all for me just doing this job right now. So as you can tell, typical BMW things, little leaky, a little dirty, but no big deal. Got that done. We're waiting for the wheels and tires to come back so we could try to set the alignment, because I'm probably not taking it to a shop, to be honest with you guys. I have no idea what I was just saying when the battery died. We're waiting for the wheels and tires to come. Oh, tie rods. So the driver's side one was set up exactly the same, or I tried to get it exactly the same. Passenger side one came out of that bag, and it was about a 1/4 inch shorter than the passenger side one that came off. So I kind of left it there because I feel the passenger side definitely had to come in. So we'll see about a 1/4 inch. I don't know if that's too much or too little. Might be too much, but we'll see when we get the wheels and tires on, see how it at least looks, because you could tell just looking at it that they were towed out from side to side. So we'll see when we get everything back. All right, we are back in the garage. Wheels are on. The think we're decent. If anything, it could be pulled in a little bit more. The tie rod might still have a little bit of toe out, but I did realize that my steering wheel is way off. So tires are as straight as possible right now. So I'm actually just gonna take the steering wheel off and rotate it and put it back on. Easiest way. I did just notice these people at the tire shop mounted 2 of the tires backwards, so inside is out. I don't know how you mess that one up. Not sure if I should be bothering going back right now and getting that swapped, or just roll with it. Pretty, a little annoying. It's one of the perks of having a racing steering wheel with the hub. Take the little horn button out, get right down to the nut, zip that out, pull the steering wheel off, twist it, put it back on. Not bad. So that's it. I can see if I work up the motivation to pull these wheels back off and bring them back to the tire place to get them to swap it. I guess it's just an oversight, not a big deal. Glad I tipped the guy. So that is it for this video. I'm gonna end it here, and then, like I said, we'll figure out if we're gonna do anything. Hope you enjoyed the video. These tires are a little bit more meaty than my other tire, so I was rubbing on the back, pulling out of my driveway. So we might have to see about raising the suspension just a little bit, just so we don't rub too much. Other than that, not too bad of a project. Pretty easy, other than relying on someone else to do the wheels and tires, which is why I like to do all this stuff myself, but I don't have a tire machine. Sometimes you have to go to a professional for that, and sometimes they mess up. They are human, no big deal. I'm sure they will make it right and just swap it for me when I bring them in. So like I said, not a big deal, just minor inconvenience. Hope you learned something in this video. If you want to help the channel out in any way, use the links down below. I'm gonna put some Amazon links down below of some of the tools I use. Like I said, the only specialty tool you need is that boot clamp tool, but I am gonna leave a link to that Knipex thing. It's like an adjustable wrench and channel locks put together, basically. They work pretty awesome. One of my favorite purchases I've made. Recommend that. You should use it too. Like I said, just use the links down below. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things the other YouTubers tell you to do, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.